It's soup season. Come with me as I make a spicy kale and white bean soup. I have random things from my fridge. Half a bag of kale. A package of mild sausage. You could use spicy. I'm just a wuss. White beans. I always keep a couple different kinds of beans in the fridge. Pantry. Chicken broth. I did use a little bit of this chicken broth. It was already open. But whatever. Chili onion crunch. Crunchy onion, chili onion? I don't know. It's good. That's how I changed the spice level. And bread. I also used an onion. This is kind of a build your own adventure soup. You can add whatever you like. I happen to have half an onion laying around, so I added half an onion. I also add garlic, and it's the canned version, so I don't have to chop it. I just add more, so it's got flavor. So I'm starting off with sauteing the sausages. My sausages are raw all the way through, so I'm just cooking them a little bit so that I can slice them. I like the big chunks of sausage in my soup, but you do you. You could use pre-cooked sausage and then all you have to do is slice it. You could use ground sausage and then, you don't have to take it out at all. You just add everything to it. But I had these on hand. I like this brand, so I buy it when I see it and then figure out what to make with it a lot of the time. And that's okay. So I'm just turning it, making sure it's all enough cooked. And that's about when they're done. They're not fully done all the way through. Don't care. If you care, then don't cook it this way. Slicing the sausage is rather easy, though it is hot. But nothing too hard to do. You slice it into whatever size makes you happy. I like my soup on the heartier, thicker side, but yet brothy. So that just means I almost make a stew sometimes with how much stuff is in my soup. Here I am adding the onions back into the pot. Kind of makes it have more flavor. I am just using one pot because this is also the easiest dish that I can think to make on a cold night. I'm kind of scraping up some of the fond on the bottom and caramelizing the onions at the same time. And then I'll add a bit of garlic. And from here, I just let it cook a little bit. I will eventually add some of the broth, just a little bit, just to make sure I get everything up from the bottom so nothing burns on the bottom of this pot. It is a rather old pot, so it needs all the help it can get sometimes. I'm just scraping. And then once this is kind of to my liking, the onions are kind of done. They don't need to be completely done. They'll continue cooking. They don't take long, so I add the sausage back in to cook it the rest of the way. And just to make sure it's all done. And then, once it's all done, I add beans. If I were using dried beans, that would be a whole lot more work, so I'm just adding a drained can of beans. It makes it so much easier, and it's like $1 or something, even with inflation. So it's still the cheapest, not the cheapest option, but one of. can't beat that. So I just cook it down, saute it a little bit more. Everything's cooked at this point, but I do kind of let the beans do their thing so that if they break up, they can add a little bit of thickness to the broth. And then I add the broth. You could stop here, but I added once it came up to a boil, because I kind of do want the flavors to meld and kind of come together. So once it's boiling, everything's all nice and happy. I did add the kale at the end. It is the very last step that I do. You could always add, any other vegetables. I just really needed to use that kale because I'm not going to make a salad out of it like I thought I was. High hopes when I'm at the grocery store for how healthy I am. But I end up making this soup and kale chips, which is still fairly healthy. So I am just stirring that in, kind of making sure that all of the kale gets kind of mixed around so that it all cooks pretty quickly. I don't let mine cook super long with the kale. I don't like it super mushy. So I basically just do a couple minutes. Once everything is kind of softer, then I plate up. Bread has been in the oven, so I just slice that. Let me know in the comments if you can do soup without bread. I can't. I have to have some sort of bread. I control the spice with the Trader Joe's crunchy onion chili oil. I can add as much or as little as I like. My husband definitely adds more. Sometimes he adds just hot sauce. It is a build your own adventure, so, have fun with this. You could always add cheese or anything else, really, and enjoy.